This walk-off home run by Raul Ibanez wasn't anything new, as it was his third in a Mariners uniform and it was the fourth of 7 career walk-off home runs he'd eventually end his career with. While he did get the Mariners the win, it didn't really do much for the Mariners long term because they ended the season with a 61-101 record. However, it's not like this walk-off home run didn't matter. At this point in his career, Ibanez was 36 years old, and the majority of his prime was spent with the Mariners and Royals, 2 teams who were in constant states of rebuilding. Still, he was always a spark in the lineup during these dark rebuilding years, and ultimately, these are the types of moments that fans remember. If you produce these moments on a consistent basis, especially for a rebuilding team, that's just one of the ways you can become a team cult hero. And that's what this series is going to be. I want to talk about the players who deserve praise outside of their main fan base. Whether it was due to a walk-off hit in the playoffs, a clutch pitching performance, universal popularity among the team fan base, or maybe they weren't even that good and they just had some interesting quirk about them. Whatever the reason is, I want to showcase them. The more obscure the player, the better. So let me know some team cult heroes in the comments below. Now, what does this mean for the Butterfly Effect series? Well, while I love the concept of the series, it's gotten a bit repetitive to make and I want to try something new. So it's on hiatus for now. I hope you all understand. Alright, back to business.
In the air to right field. That one's deep and this ball game is over!
2011 was the end of Ibanez's 3-year tenure in Philly, and while this season was his first clear sign of regression, his Phillies tenure as a whole was a success. In 2009, he not only made his first All-Star game and had a career high in home runs and OPS, he was a key player in the team's World Series run, despite ultimately losing. Little did anyone know, 3 years later, Ibanez would sign with the team they lost against, the New York Yankees. While he was set to turn 40 years old during the season, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing considering his career trajectory. Ibanez was a 36th round pick who against all odds made the major leagues after 5 seasons in the minor leagues. But he wasn't a full-time major leaguer yet. Despite debuting at the age of 24 in 1996, he didn't play 100 games in a season until 2001 when he signed with the Royals. Ibanez mentioned how his confidence wavered during his first Mariners tenure because he wasn't playing every day, so he put lots of pressure on himself to perform. But he knew once he got consistent opportunities, success would follow. And he wasn't wrong. After a successful tenure in Kansas City, he signed back with Seattle in 2004 and continued to perform well. Then, when Phillies outfielder Pat Burrell became a free agent after the 2008 season, Ibanez signed a 3-year deal with the World Series champs. In his first year, at 37 years old, Ibanez made his first All-Star game and hit 34 home runs, becoming the 24th player in MLB history to hit that many home runs at the age of 37 or older. Speaking of home runs, he hit the vast majority of his home runs past his age 30 season, and by the time he retired at the age of 42, he hit 278 of his 305 home runs after his age 30 season, the 24th most in MLB history. Even now, knowing how Ibanez ended his career, at the time, no one really knew what to expect when he signed with the Yankees. His first season in Philly was great, but then he lost quite a bit of power in 2010, and his walk rate in 2011 was his worst in over a decade. However, since Ibanez was expected to take a DH role with the Yankees, mainly against right-handed pitching, the team thought they could mask his weaknesses. And if everything went right, Ibanez would have a role in a potential Yankees championship, something he missed out on during his early tenure in Seattle and his most recent stint in Philly. However, as it always goes, things didn't go to plan. In mid-April, left fielder Brett Gardner suffered an elbow injury and was placed on the IL indefinitely, ultimately missing the vast majority of the season. This meant Gardner's replacement had to be either Ibanez or Andrew Jones, or a platoon between the two. While Jones was one of the best outfield defenders ever during his prime, by 2012 his value was mainly through his bat. However, compared to Ibanez, Jones might as well have been a Gold Glover. Nonetheless, Ibanez was given the majority of the starts in left field. While he wasn't nearly as bad as he was in 2011, he wasn't very good either. So how about the bat? Well, he certainly wasn't bad at the plate. He had an OPS in the 900s as late as mid-May. However, his season can be categorized as streaky. In the first half of the season, Ibanez went from an average hitter to an elite hitter to someone who could barely even get on base. While it didn't matter too much at the All-Star break, given the Yankees were sitting nicely in the standings, if Ibanez was in the middle of a slump while the rest of the team was also slumping, it could get ugly pretty fast. Well, we can worry about that later.
That one is drilled deep to right field. Going back Francisco, looking up. See ya!
This go-ahead grand slam led to a Yankees win and an eventual sweep of the Blue Jays, allowing the Yankees to gain a 10-game lead in the AL East, their largest divisional lead of the season. However, when a team peaks, that means they're destined for a downfall. The question is, how far are they going to fall? Well, between the end of this mid-July series and September 4th, the Yankees lost their 10-game divisional lead. How? Well, the pitching staff went from above average to average, and the hitters went from the best in the league to average at best. There wasn't necessarily a singular reason for this collapse, but like the rest of the team, Ibanez was in a major slump. With the Yankees preparing to take on numerous big matchups in September, including the Rays and Orioles, this team really needed to step up. After a shaky first half of the month, the Yankees began a winning streak during a winning series against the Rays. They went on to sweep the Blue Jays and nearly swept the Oakland A's, another team in the wild card race. However, despite a 7-game winning streak, the Yankees were only 1 game ahead of the Orioles. One bad run and they're relegated to a wild card spot. But stakes like this are what make these types of moments even better.
3-1. There it is, deep to right. Tie game, see ya! A bullet home run, 2-run shot. It's 9-9.
This game was a back-and-forth slugfest, and it seemed like the A's were on the cusp of winning with the 3 home runs they hit in the top of the 13th. But Ibanez capped off the bottom of the inning with a game-tying home run, and the Yankees went on to win. In fact, this game was a turning point for Ibanez. In his previous game a few days earlier, his OPS reached a near-season low, but this 3-hit day was the start of an incredible run for Ibanez. However, the Yankees had a .500 record in the 8 games following this win. While the Yankees had already clinched a playoff spot ahead of the final series of the regular season, they were tied with the Orioles for first place. One bad series, and they have to play a wild card game. Thankfully, the Red Sox were in last place, but you know they're going to stop at nothing to hurt their most heated rivals. Ibanez didn't take part in the Yankees' dominant Game 1 performance, but Game 2 was something else. It seemed that James Loney had sealed the win for the Red Sox with his home run in the top of the 9th. Couple this with an Orioles win, and it looked like the Yankees and Orioles were going to be all tied up ahead of Game 162. But then, Ibanez came up to pinch hit.
That one is driven to right field. It's deep. It is gone. The game is tied at 3. And the 0-1. Grounded left side and through for a base hit. Here's the throw. It's not in time. The magic number is 1.
Now the Yankees control their own destiny. If they win this final game, they win the division, and it's because Ibanez showed up when it mattered most. In Game 162, the Yankees easily beat the Red Sox, and Ibanez got on base a couple times and scored in the 7th inning, adding to his incredible hot streak to end the season. There was a bit more late-season drama than the Yankees would have liked, but they ended the season in first place, ready to take on the winner of the Orioles and Rangers wild card game. And the winner was the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees were looking to win it all, and Ibanez was no stranger to the postseason, but no one could have predicted the impact he was going to have this time around. Ibanez got 1 hit in Game 1, but that hit allowed the Yankees to continue an eventual 5-run inning, which led to the win. However, Ibanez was benched in Game 2 for Eduardo Nunez due to lefty Wei-Yin Chen starting the game, and the Yankees went on to lose. As for Game 3, even though right-handed starter Miguel Gonzalez was slated to start, Ibanez was left on the bench as Alex Rodriguez was given the DH spot. This was one of those games where neither team was able to pull away with a commanding lead. Heading into the 9th inning, it looked like a 5th inning Manny Machado home run was going to be the deciding factor that gives the Orioles the series lead. Orioles closer Jim Johnson, MLB save leader, was heading out for his second save opportunity of the series. After an Ichiro flyout, A-Rod was due to come up, but manager Joe Girardi decided to replace him with Ibanez. He actually faced Johnson in Game 1, and he got a single in the 5-run 9th inning. However, in this moment, the Yankees needed something more.
One an extra inning, and that ball is driven to right, and we are tied.
The man who signed a $1.1 million contract at the beginning of spring training pinch hit for the highest paid player in baseball in the most crucial moment of the season thus far. And he delivered. This home run had a WPA of 46.7% and a championship WPA of 5.8%, the fourth highest of the 2012 postseason. WPA, or win probability added, measures how a player impacts their team's chances of winning a game through a specific play. Championship WPA measures how a player impacts their team's chances of winning the World Series. Ahead of this at-bat, the Yankees had a 12% chance of winning this game. This home run boosted their odds of winning by 46.7%, and through some other calculations, their championship odds increased by 5.8%. Now, it was anybody's game. As each half inning came to a close, the stakes and pressure became higher and higher. Neither team could produce that go-ahead run. Because of this, in the top of the 12th, Ibanez was able to step back into the batter's box.
He's being in the bullpen. Did he do it again? He did!
This home run set numerous records. Ibanez became the first player to home run twice in a playoff game he didn't start. He became the oldest player to hit a postseason walk-off home run, and he's the oldest player with a multi-home run postseason game. And in Game 4, he had the chance to end the series.
40-year-old Raul Ibanez waiting. On the ground to first. Reynolds will win the race to the bag.
What? I had to prove that Ibanez is human. Not everyone can convert in these clutch moments. That would be too predictable. Nonetheless, the stage was set for Game 5. While Ibanez didn't have an insane clutch moment, he did drive in the first run of the game, and the Yankees never lost the lead. With the Orioles out of the way, it was time to face the Tigers in the ALCS. In Game 1, the Yankees didn't waste any time getting guys on base, as they loaded the bases in the first 2 innings, but they couldn't deliver. This came back to haunt them as they allowed 2 runs in the top of the 6th, and despite loading the bases again in the bottom half of the inning, the Yankees couldn't score. The Tigers scored 2 more in the 8th, and it looked like all hope was lost. But in the bottom of the 9th, after a Russell Martin single, Ichiro hit a 2-run home run to keep the Yankees in the game. Then, after a Mark Teixeira walk, Ibanez found himself with another opportunity to be the hero.
Fly ball, right field, pretty deep, back to the wall. He's done it again!
Of course, Ibanez delivered. The championship WPA of this home run was the 3rd highest of the entire postseason. It was more impactful than the Game 3 game-tying home run against the Orioles. The Yankees were back in the game, and they were given new life courtesy of Ichiro and Raul Ibanez. But there's just one small problem. The Tigers had their own clutch star in Delman Young, and ultimately, they were the better team. Baseball is a team sport, and the rest of the Yankees just couldn't get it done. They were swept out of the playoffs, and Ibanez never played a game in the Yankees pinstripes ever again. However, given the amount of history made and the countless memories that were created, this one-year stint was arguably the most impactful of his entire career. His long-term tenures in Seattle, Kansas City, and even Philadelphia may have been more impactful on a long-term basis, but in terms of short-term success, this one-year pit stop with the Yankees was nothing short of special. Despite not winning the World Series, Ibanez will forever be remembered in Yankees history. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe to Raving Sports, check out my channel SportStorm, and leave your team's cult hero in the comments. Thanks for watching.